Many people have written that spouses get a little bit of who succeed their husbands in office, get a little bit of a honeymoon. Do you think you got a honeymoon, and does it still exist?
I wouldn't say I had a honeymoon. I don't believe, I believe the elections are different today than they were before. And I think I mentioned to you before where Sacramento, even though it's a community of families and all of that, is still a very political town. I think my honeymoon probably lasted, if there's a honeymoon, might have lasted maybe 2 weeks. But that is the nature of politics. I felt, in a sense, and they felt, that I needed to be tested. And I think that was important to a certain degree, too. They knew that I was Bob's wife. They knew that I worked in the White House. They knew I'd been involved in commissions and boards. But, you know, Bob's role was a member of Congress, and I didn't. You know, I wasn't involved in that role, so to speak. So, you know, to assume, to even want to decide to want to be in that role, it was, I think, important for most people to see how strong I would be, if I knew the issues. And I just felt it was important to go through that. But I must say that the special election was so, it was a short election, to a certain degree, 2 months. And I felt that it was just important to be out there and to express myself in a sense that as a candidate. Once I got elected, it was important for me to become a member of Congress. And so I felt that my re-election in '06 was my election to a great degree as a member of Congress in the job that I've done.
Now, it was probably inevitable that some people expected you to carry on the priorities that Bob had created, and yet you found your own voice and made that very, very clear. And it didn't take you very long to do it. How did you make that transition very quickly?
Well, obviously in Sacramento we have priorities, our local priorities, like, you know, flood control and mass transit and all of that. And those are going to be a member of Congress from Sacramento's priorities. And I'm over there fighting for that all the time. On the other hand, Bob and I weren't alike at all. And when I took on the role, I remember at the beginning I used to ask my staff, and there are a few people who were carryovers from my husband's staff, now what would Bob have done? And then somewhere along the way, must have been 6 months later, I didn't ask that question anymore. I didn't realize I didn't until all of a sudden I started making my own decisions and not even thinking about what he would have done. I believe also that it was important that I serve on different committees. Bob was never on the Rules Committee. He was never on Transportation Infrastructure. And he was always on Ways and Means. And that's a different type of committee. So for me, I can express myself in a different kind of way because my committee assignments are different. And also, I am different from my husband. I have a passion for children's research and health care. He did, but in a policy way with Ways and Means. I go to the hospitals an awful lot. UC Davis Med Center is in my district to see what's going on, because that really does interest me, because I feel that it's very important for a member of Congress to be connected to what's going on in a district, especially today, because things are moving so quickly. And especially when you think about in challenging times. We're in challenging times today, and things move much more quickly, and you really want to make sure that you are at least on par with your district, and sometimes trying to move a little bit ahead too.